I think one of the things that really set off people and really angered them was that clip on the project. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, fuck. This Waleed Ali. Like, I had so much respect for the guy.
Hey, everybody. It's been a while. I can't remember. I think the last time we did the podcast was when Idris passed away. So it would have been the end, around
2 years ago.
Yeah, the start of 2021.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Over 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think ever since he passed away, I just kind of like lost the will to do this.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful that you reached out and to actually do another one, because there's a lot happening in the world, and I think we need to talk about this stuff because I don't think there's a lot of discourse that's happening in society these days. It's a lot of back and forth, a lot of bickering, a lot of name calling. I think you got called a Nazi like 6 times in your Facebook post.
Me, a Nazi, right?
Come on, guys.
A Muslim Jew, a Nazi.
It's ridiculous, but it's
a homophobe too.
Yeah, everything. I think, I just want to let everyone know, like, we want to do this to, again, like I said, to create discourse, because we don't think that there's enough discourse. We need to talk to each other. We can't keep battling it out and calling each other names, because we don't get anywhere.
Branding each other incorrectly as well.
Exactly. And there's a lot of topics, especially today in 2023, and I think a lot of people are confused and they don't know what to think and they don't know which side to take.
They're scared.
A lot of people are scared.
People are scared from being flagged and branded as a homophobe, as anti-socialist, or if you're not a leftist, you're the evil. You're the devil
bigots
himself, right? And at the same token, on the other side of the spectrum, if you're not a complete right-wing nut job, you're not worthy of breathing oxygen. And that's not the case. The intent of, I guess, of this podcast, and this will be one of the topics that we'll discuss, is the safety and well-being of our upcoming generations. The current generation of, babies, primary education level kids, that really can't think for themselves. And yet we get told that we are not allowed to think for them. It's their choice. Okay, fair enough. I mean, they're, 5 to 11, 12 years old, their brains haven't developed to the extent where they're actually able to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong, what is tolerable, what is intolerable, what is evil and what is good. To them, it's life is a grey cloud, and it's up to the parents to clarify things for these kids so they can raise them to be good, decent kids. Kids that can tolerate homosexuals. Kids that can understand what heterosexuality is all about, what homosexuality is all about, what people feel deep inside about society, about current affairs, about the world, about multiculturalism, what is racism, what is bigotry. But it gets to a point where I'm not allowed to teach my kids what is right and what is wrong based on what the ethics and the morals that I've been brought up to. And if I try and point out, but yet this group of people or brand of people are happy to go into our classrooms, our kids' classrooms, perform these acts or indecent acts where, you have males dressed up in a fairly sexual, explicit manner, literally stripping and dancing in front of these kids, and telling kids, you have the choice of not considering yourself as a boy or a girl or a male or a female because, your gender or transgender, it's entirely up to you how you feel and what you feel like. And this whole bloody saga of, there's multiple genders in the world, like, fucking give me a break. There's 2 genders, male, female, that's it. Now, if you as a male feel like you're a female, that's your feelings. That's how you feel about it. It doesn't mean that science has to change because of your feelings. And when you're actually sitting there in front of a classroom of kids and telling them it's okay to feel, in a classroom of boys, and say, it's okay not to feel like a boy, you can be whatever you want to be. Well, hang on a minute. Sanity needs to fucking prevail here. And we need to tell these people that when it comes to the safety of my kids or my grandkids, you are stepping over the line in trying to educate my kids into something that is immoral, unethical. And I'm not attacking homosexuality. Don't get me wrong. It's the branding of the transgender and allowing kids to feel as though implementing confusion in the kids' heads as to, I have a dick, but am I a girl? Are you kidding me? Like, I'm going to grow up, I don't have ovaries and I don't have boobs, but I am a girl. And that the girl is like, I've got tits and I've got a vagina, and am I really a boy? Because this guy said to me at an age where I can absorb everything that I'm being taught. And if we're teaching them wrong, then they're going to absorb the wrong thing. It's like, any computer program, shit in, shit out. You throw shit into the kids' heads, they're going to come up with, completely confused and not understanding what they're all about. And this is the problem. It's not homosexuality, right? If someone wants to suck someone's dick, fucking go for gold. And I'm really happy for you if you really enjoy it. Just do it at your own time, don't hurt anyone else, and live life happy, mate. Love is love. I agree 100%. You have equal rights to me. I agree 1000%. But don't throw that shit in my kid's face.
Yep. Let me stop you for a second, because I think you compiled a Facebook status recently to kind of get everything off your chest, I would assume, and that got a lot of backlash.
Well, yeah.
So I just wanted to share what you said, right? So Khaled said, sexual drag shows right before the eyes of little children. The world has gone fucking mad. The LGBTQI community ought to hold their head in shame for not openly disapproving such vile acts. You want to live your life the way you want? I'm all for it and will support your choice on the proviso it doesn't adversely affect others. Drag stripping and dancing in front of kids in a sexual manner is going too fucking far, and I will stand against you until you start to fucking behave like human fucking beings. Hashtag protect the kids. When did you come to this conclusion in your mind that you kind of drew the line in the sand, you saw what was happening, and it was just building up and building up over the years, and you just said enough is enough?
Well, it wasn't building up over the years. Don't get me wrong. I have never had any sense of animosity or hatred towards the LGBT community, right? I know it sounds like a typical cliche, I have gay friends. I love people overall, right? I mean, you met my friend Andrew.
Yes.
Right? A Zionist. I fucking love the guy to death. It doesn't matter what sexual inclination you have, what gender you are, what cultural background you come from, what faith you have. I consider myself a Muslim with Jewish lineage, and I practice Buddhism. Now, you can't get any more interfaith than that.
That's pretty crazy.
Right?
I've never
you can't get any more interfaith
before.
than that.
Yeah.
And I consider myself as a practicing Buddhist, not because I believe that Buddhism is a faith. Buddhism isn't a faith. Buddhism is a philosophical, wise way of living. Because it doesn't tell you like what the Bible or the Torah or the Quran, right? Buddhist scripture doesn't tell you what's right and what's wrong. If you do the wrong thing, you're going to go to hell. If you do the right thing, you're going to go to heaven. Buddhist philosophy tells you how you should live your life in a wise way and be compatible with everyone and tolerate everyone and love everyone, because the energy that you exude, the aura that you exude is exactly what will come back at you. Which, in other words, it's karma.
Yep.
Right? Buddhism teaches you how to reach a level of satori followed by a nirvana, where you feel like you are so bloody light on your feet that the whole world's problems aren't an issue, because it considers two things. When you face a problem, you either have control of it or you don't have control. Now, if you have control of the problem, then it's not a fucking problem, because you can control the outcome. So why are you crying and stressing over it? Now, if you don't have a control over a problem that you suffer or you come across, and you don't have control over it, why cry? Why be depressed? You got no fucking control over it. So just go with the flow and use the philosophical way of, sail with the wind, not row against the wind, because you'll get to your destination in half the effort. That's what Buddhism is. So I'm a fairly interfaith person. I'm a person that tolerates all forms of people. Gender, age, faith, ethnicity, it doesn't matter. Sexual inclination, not an issue at all. And it wasn't building up over the years that, I had just boiled to the point where I can't tolerate it anymore. Drag shows and drag queens are part of society. And there's no denying that. And if anyone's still going to deny that, the LGBT community exists and should not exist and whatever, get your head out of your ass and start living with the times, because you're at a point or an age where it's part of society and we live with these people. And these people live with us. So we need to live in harmony.
In harmony, yes.
But taking it too far, you've taken it too far when you're sitting there, spreading your legs as a male adult, wearing a black leather G-string, topless, on a chair, in front of kids, spreading your legs out because I am a transgender person, part of the LGBT community, and I'm teaching you a lesson on tolerance. That's not fucking tolerance, mate. That is not tolerance. That's tarnishing kids. in a very sexual way, right? That is literally grooming kids to a point where we will reach in society, we will reach a point where pedophilia, and this has got nothing to do with homosexuality, pedophilia will be viewed by these kids and eventually by parents as tolerable. That's not the way, right? Like that mural of the guy in the leather strap laying on a couch with a teddy bear mask on his head.
In bondage.
Now, had that mural not had the teddy bear mask or the head, I would not have had an issue with it, because it's celebrating what the gay community is all about, right? And it had the rainbow flags and everywhere around. But as soon as you incorporated the teddy bear head into that painting, and kids are passing by, the sight of a half-naked man, right, laying in a very sexual way, almost erect, and the association with the teddy bear, that becomes normal to the kid that views it. So next time he sees someone in the same position, with the same gear, only without the teddy bear, the kid's going to remember seeing that painting and go, this is normal behaviour. This is not fucking normal behaviour. It's not normal behaviour when you're actually doing it in front of kids.
Do you think the teddy bear face was put on that man's body to attract the kids specifically?
Absolutely, because they're grooming the kids to a point where they will not complain about being sexually molested by pedophiles, because it's normal.
There was also another mural with angel wings that was made up of penises.
Yes.
Now, I think they were both, what's the word I'm looking for? Tarnished? Maybe that's not the correct word. They were both vandalized with paint by members of the community who took exception to that and thought it wasn't appropriate. But it makes me think, like what you're saying about the grooming of the kids and getting to them when they're at a very susceptible age where their brain is very malleable. It's not a good thing.
No,
right?
absolutely not.
And you, in the status that you put on Facebook, you had a lot of backlash, especially from leftists,
Yep.
saying, "Oh, how dare you!" A lot of people called you a Nazi, a right-wing fascist, a bigot. What didn't they call you? Know what I mean? But in today's day and age, everyone is a Nazi. Everyone is a fascist. If you don't agree with,
If you don't agree, you're the demon.
that's a cult.
Yep.
If you don't
Absolutely.
agree with the cult,
Yep.
you are then labeled all these
Yep.
labels, and at the end of the day, these things are going to become meaningless.
Yep.
Because they just attach you to an everyday person.
Yep.
For no reason whatsoever, other than you're going against the grain.
You're going against someone else's ideology and philosophy, right? Because you'll flag the demon if you don't agree with the leftists, and you flag the demon if you don't agree with the right people as well, with people on the right. And if you incline towards the left or to the right, the centrists look at you and go, you're half demented.
Yeah.
So you're fucked either way, right? So to me, I don't really care what people flag me or call me or brand me as. I've got fairly thick skin. I've been, exposed to racism for the majority of my life. So being called these things is not an issue to me. But the way I like to think of myself is, both my boys are adults. The eldest one is married, and his wife could be falling pregnant anytime.
Shout out to Max.
Cheers. So it's, if I don't make a stand now, my grandkids would be exposed to this shit. And all I look at myself as, you can call me a Nazi, you can call me a homophobe, you can call me a demented, delinquent, congenital imbecile. No skin off my teeth, mate.
Orthodox back.
I'm just protecting my grandkids, future grandkids, and my actions will end up protecting other people's kids as well. And the thing is, what people don't understand and can't see is that these acts aren't only being opposed by heterosexuals, decent homosexuals, because believe me, the majority of the homosexual community are decent people, irrespective of what other people think of their sexual accident. Like I said, mate, you want to live this lifestyle, you have my full support. Just don't come and throw it in my face, and don't go and show it and expect my kids to accept it as well. I'm not saying that I accept it. In Islam, it's condemned. In Christianity, it's condemned. In Judaism, it's condemned. And I stand by my faiths, and I say that homosexuality in these Abrahamic faiths and other faiths as well is not a normal act. But who are we to define what is normal and what is not normal? You want to do it, go ahead for your life. Just don't expect me to be happy about seeing it, and don't expect my kids or my grandkids to be exposed to it. This is where you draw the line, and this is where I set up my boundary and set up my wall, and will fight you till the day that I bleed to death to protect my future grandkids and other people's kids as well.
That's very courageous and honourable.
But if we don't take the stand now, it'll get to a point where it becomes normal. It's like sending emails and flagging every single email as high priority. The people that are receiving those emails will eventually look at it and go, fuck, another high priority email from Christian. You know what? That becomes the norm. That becomes normal priority.
Yeah.
We mustn't allow it to get to that stage.
Normalization.
Right?
I wanted to say, because a lot of people who were rebutting what you said were using the example, if it wasn't the man in the bondage gear with the teddy bear head, and if it was a sexy lady in a bikini and panties, that would be okay in today's society.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I agree with that.
Sexual explicitness must not be exposed to kids.
Regardless if it's heterosexual or homosexual.
It doesn't matter. It does not matter whatsoever. I mean, why do you have ratings on movies and shows? Why do you have G-rated or PG-rated or M-rated or MA or R18? Why do you have these things? If you're gonna have a mural of 50 penises in rainbow-coloured as angel flags, and there are kids standing there and taking, their parents taking photos of that. If you're going to allow that, I lost my train of thought. I'm so fucking worked up about this. So the thing is, why would you then still have the rating on movies, right? Why would you classify pornography as a no-go zone for adolescents, right? Why would you still have any movie or any show have any form of rating whatsoever? If you're normalizing a sexy lady in a lingerie with a teddy bear head and the rainbow flag around her as a painting, if that's allowed, then no, it shouldn't be allowed. And I will completely oppose it, because it's exposing kids to sexually explicit material. And if society has lived for the hundreds of years that we have, with the technological boom that we've had and the advancements that we've had, if we're going to get to a point where we're allowing this sort of stuff, enough's enough. Even to the point where, like rap songs these days, almost every single rap song is either about being a gangster or growing up to be a slut or becoming a slut.
Sex, drugs.
Exactly,
violence.
right? And that is as well, that should be condemned, because that is normalizing behavior that shouldn't be normalized. And where do you stop?
Where do you draw the line?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's going to get to a point, if we do not oppose it, I said it before and I'll say it again. At the time, if we don't do anything about it, pedophilia will become something that people sympathise with.
And that's not something we want in society.
Absolutely not. And I have always said it quite openly. Capital punishment should be reintroduced to two types of people: rapists and pedophiles. The only way you're going to cleanse society of these terrorists is to actually start cleansing society of these terrorists. Set an example why you shouldn't do it, because that would be your inevitable outcome.
I remember you telling me a story of, what was it, were you with your dad?
I was with my uncle.
With your uncle?
In Syria.
In Syria,
in
and they
Damascus.
had a public demonstration.
4 people were hung in the middle of town hall. We left home, my grandmother's home, and we caught the bus and we're walking to my uncle's shop, my mum's brother, and these 4 people were hung in the middle of town hall, in the middle of the capital city, Damascus itself. And we passed by, and they had them on display, head covered obviously, and right in front of them was a plaque about the crime that they committed. And all 4 of them had raped a 12-year-old boy in a cemetery.
Damn.
Right? And one of them felt guilty afterwards and went and handed himself in and dobbed the other 3. It took no more than a couple of days to put these 4 on display. People that will read in the plaque and read in the cause of what brought them to that inevitable outcome, a lot of people go, fuck, well, that's something that I won't do. And that's how you cleanse people. You teach them a lesson. Tough titties. Teach them a lesson of what not to do. Because if you do the wrong thing, this is what's going to happen to you.
The crazy thing about pedophiles is I almost describe it as like a vampire attack, especially if the victim is underage and young. If a young person is a victim of a pedophile attack and they get raped or whatever, then that victim is more likely in the future to commit those horrendous acts.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yep.
So it's almost kind of like a vampire effect.
It's their own payback for society not looking after them, right? Like, you fucked me when I was a kid, now I'm going to fuck someone else.
It's a vicious doom loop.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's scary. One of the things that I see about the capital punishment for, you said it was pedophiles and rapists. How can you for sure deem someone is a pedophile or a rapist and be 100% sure that there wasn't any mistake or any doubt in anyone's eyes that they were exactly what they are? Because there have been instances where people have been wrongly accused of that, and if they die, there's no retribution for that.
Collateral damage. If I'm going to teach society a lesson, and in the process of me teaching society a lesson, I make mistakes, so be it. It's collateral damage. The inevitable outcome is the overall majority of society will be a safer place.
You truly believe that?
Absolutely. Society will be a better place. You know, why is collateral damage sanctioned in wars? You know, the contrast that I put when America invaded Iraq or Afghanistan, it's like a police department going to a building that they know there's someone in there, a criminal in there, and they want to go and catch that criminal. But in the process of wanting to catch that criminal, what do? They bomb the entire building. So everyone that was alive in that building ends up under the rubble, dead, for the sake of one person. That is a similar contrast to invading a country, killing the innocent people in there for the sake of catching, you know, a group of thugs. Mm-hmm. So why is there sanction for wars, but not practiced in you know, the predicament that I gave you with the police and so on? So what I'm saying is, if in the process of trying to teach society a lesson of what not to do, and there are a handful of the many cases that are innocent, and the legal system had found them to be guilty, then try and change the legal system to try and put more robust controls and investigations in place. But when you do find them that they are guilty of that act, there is no condition about sentencing them to, you know, so many years of imprisonment and so on. Straight to the electric chair or on a fucking hanger. Put the noose around the neck and off they go.
Well, the public hanging would be more of a visual spectacle.
Absolutely.
That would discourage.
Crime in Syria prior to the civil war that broke out about 10 or so years ago, crime in Syria was under 0.1%.
That's nothing.
And that's a massive country.
Yeah.
With a massive population. Because the law there and what the police did and what the law did and the controls that they put in place about sentencing people and how they judged them based on the crime that they committed, taught the people not to do that crime again. It's a simple fact. It's worked.
We were talking about governments and how they kind of let all of this slide, and some may even say that they perpetrate it, or the people that are higher up have an agenda. And I've heard that term being thrown around a lot, that this is all part of the agenda to normalize this sort of stuff, the pedophilia, the mainly just the pedophilia. And I think the end goal would be to get to the children and groom them, as you said, so that, you know, they're more susceptible to being victims later on in the future. Do you think that there really is some kind of agenda coming from the top, or do you think it's more of just no one knows what the fuck is going on and they're just pushing it to the limits?
I don't care where the agenda's coming from, and I don't really care whether there is an agenda or not. I can only go by what I see right before my eyes. Oh. Right? I don't care where it stems from, what the purposes are, or the objectives of what drove to the current predicament that we're in. I can only go by what I'm seeing. I don't deal in hypotheticals, right? I see an indecent act in a classroom of kids, and social media, going up in frenzy, sharing more of the same stuff, same of the unnatural behaviour around the world, and I say enough's enough. Where it came from, couldn't give two fucks worth. What I'm seeing is what I act on. And what I'm seeing is absolute danger. Absolute danger. And if this is going to be the case that we as an international society, we're allowing ourselves to live into, then life is not worth living, mate. Not when you're not able to act as a parent, a caring, loving parent to your kids or grandkids, and put a stop to this shit.
It seems like this is mainly going on in Western civilization. Would you agree?
I don't think so. I watch a lot of Lebanese shows and so on, and it's getting pretty bad over there as well.
Like with the whole grooming of the kids and the
grooming of the kids,
pushing of pedophilia and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's not just Western society; it's overall.
Wow, that's interesting. I thought it was mainly predominantly in the West, but Lebanon is like the complete opposite of the West, and you're saying it's happening there as well?
It is, and it's happening in other countries as well, but it's not as blatant as it is in the West. So it's overall around the globe.
Because I remember not even that long ago, like back in maybe 20, 30 years ago, when Yugoslavia still existed as a country, my dad used to tell me the gays, if you were found out to be gay, you would be bashed, you would be made fun of, it would be a horrible experience for you. And a lot of people were just very closeted back then.
And I feel for these people, in all honesty. Like, when the whole move about love is love and yes to equality and all of that, I was all for it. And you could go on my Facebook and you could see a lot of the posts that I've shared and the t-shirts that I wore where I'm actually against homophobia. Again, yes, it's against my faith. It's against my belief. It's against my religious practices. But I'm not here to judge anyone. If you're doing it, and you're doing it to satisfy yourself, and this is your life choice, and this is how you choose to live, and you're doing it with a loving, caring partner between you and him or you and her, mate, you have my full support. I'm not here to judge you. I will never judge you, and I will love you unconditionally, because that's what humans do. That's what decent humans do.
Yeah, and I think now has never been a better time for that.
Absolutely.
To be absolutely open about it. You have your Mardi Gras, you have your whole Pride Month and all that sort of stuff. There's no real ramifications for being a homosexual in today's day and age.
I mean, they sell it. This is the other thing. Like,
let it out, Khaled. Come on.
There's a Pride Month.
Yeah.
Right. How many apologies had the Free Nations people got, or First Nations people got?
There's just one from Kevin Rudd, right?
Right. How many celebrations do we hold for the First Nations people in Australia?
I don't think any. Is it?
And how long have they existed for?
Probably the oldest civilization.
40,000 fucking years.
In history, yeah.
Right? We celebrate the LGBTQ community and Pride for 1 month. No problem. But why not pay the same attention towards the First Nations people that have been oppressed for over 230 fucking years? The drive from these guys that they say they stand for equality for everyone, yet they are the most selfish fucking people ever. Most selfish people ever. If I was part of the LGBT community, I will not be celebrating Pride until the FNP are first celebrated. A culture that survived for 40,000 years, and if they were surviving on any incorrect merits and premises to their cultural behaviour and lifestyle, they wouldn't have survived for 40,000 years. How many cultures have come and gone? But the Aboriginal community is still there. They need to be celebrated. They ought to be celebrated. Not 1 month in the year, every fucking day of the year. Oldest surviving civilization or culture, right?
Yeah. It's incredible when you look at it. They're so old, like their history goes back so long, and they have so many different languages, not even dialects, different languages.
Yeah. Yep. Every tribe, I think, has got a different dialect or a different language.
Yeah. And they're still here today.
They're still here today.
Oppressed the last few decades.
230 years. Now, if they were doing anything wrong for the last 40,000 years, you think that they would have survived? They've survived calamities, and they're still there because their lifestyle was right.
Yep. It's crazy. And I think going back to the stuff that we were talking about earlier, I think one of the things that really set off people and really angered them was that clip on the project. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, fuck. This Waleed Ali. Like, I had so much respect for the guy. But to sit there and laugh at an absolutely sickening joke that is blasphemous in every aspect of the word, laugh it out, and you had the right time and the right platform to say, listen here, mate, this is not something that we condone on this project, irrespective of my faith, as a Muslim, as someone that believes in Jesus Christ, as of equal stature to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, is mentioned in the Quran far more than Muhammad was, right? And for you to ridicule a prophet, a sacred prophet of the Islamic religion, a person that makes up the Holy Trinity in Christendom, you have literally disrespected the entire world, the majority of the world.
For those people that don't know what we're talking about, I think he refers to himself as a comedian. Hardly that. He made a very sick and quite pathetic joke about Jesus Christ. And everyone on the panel was either smiling or laughing about it.
Yep.
And no one, including Walid Ali.
Walid
Ali. Dickhead. You'd think, being a self-proclaimed Muslim,
Speaker of the Imams Council in Victoria, or former Speaker of the Imams Council. So you are so witty and so intelligent to capture moments like this, right? You can't be the spokesman of the Imams Council of Victoria when you're not able to pick up on these incorrect things and correct them there and then. And you laughed it off. For what? For what reason? To show your progressiveness and inclusiveness?
it was fear.
Fee?
It was fee.
I'm not too sure if it was fee. I don't know if it was fee. I think it was more so he won that gold Logie and his fame got to his head and got better of his judgment. If it was fee, I'd walk away from the show. I wouldn't do the show anymore. But I think his head and his ego got bigger than his personality. I think that's what it is. He was more ego-driven than anything else. But to allow it to pass by without capturing it there and then, putting a stop to it, and telling the guy, I don't care who you are. I don't care what you're dressed in. I don't care whose dick you sucked last night or this morning. You do not disrespect Jesus. You do not disrespect. How many Christians are there in the world and Muslims? Over 4 billion people.
Is that right?
Right?
4 billion?
Well, 1.7 billion Muslims. And I think Christians, number of Christians around the world are far greater than that. So, say, give or take, right? Give or take 100 million.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. And you've disrespected that. Now, if you don't want to be disrespected, don't disrespect others. If you don't want to be opposed, don't oppose others. You want to be respected, you want to be included, you want to be loved. Show it, give it, to earn it.
And then to have the gall to come out a couple of days later with that pathetic low-life blondie chick.
It was a pathetic apology from him. And there was a smirk on his co-host. Yeah, there was a smile on her face.
Apology.
Yeah.
Do you think that's sincere? Do you think they actually meant that?
No.
Absolutely not.
Not at all.
It's a joke. Everyone can see it's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
If you're going to apologize for riling up all these people, at least fucking mean it.
Sack yourself. Honestly.
A lot of people are calling for the cancellation of the
Sack
project.
yourself. Yep.
For what they did. And I agree with them, but not because we're like cancel culture and we're cancelling them because they spoke bad about our guy. Cancel them because they're a piece of shit show that no one likes and no one watches anymore. Sack them because of that.
Well, you have your chance to teach people a lesson, right? As I was saying before, sack these guys, close the show, disrespected Jesus Christ, off you go. How many other shows would follow suit then and not disrespect such a significant figure for the last 2,000 years in the world? You disrespected him. You've disrespected 4 billion people. It's, this is where society is heading. It's heading towards, I can't hurt your feeling, therefore I will laugh at whatever you say and I will accept whatever you do. Dude, fuck your feelings when it comes to my grandkids. Or anyone else's kids as well. I couldn't give a fuck. You could cry all day and all night and go and neck yourself. If my grandkids and the children are safe, fucking one less person to worry about.
It's really concerning, especially for myself and Vanessa as well, because we're at that age where now we're actually thinking about having a child, birthing a child into this world. And I look at what's happening and I look at the escalation and I look at all of this stuff that's happening, and I'm thinking to myself, fuck, is
it worth having a child?
pretty much.
Yeah.
I know it's worth it.
Yep.
But the amount of difficulty and just the amount of landmines that are everywhere as you are trying to raise this child, if it's not going to be the pedophiles, it's going to be the iPad or the internet or the groomers. It's just like, fuck, man. How do we get around this? This has never happened before.
In this current time, and probably 10 to 20 years ago, it's not a good idea to have a lot of kids. And the reason why I say this is you want to be able to separate your time equally amongst the number of kids that you have. So, for example, if you have 2 kids, 50% of the time is dedicated to each kid. If you have 3 kids, 33% of your time. 4 kids, 25%. And as the number grows, your time and attention to each kid reduces. What happens at that point is the child, one of the kids, ends up being deprived of parental attention.
Which is important.
Extremely important, especially through the phase that we're going through right now.
Absolutely.
And it gets to a point where, with the ever so prominent presence of phones, iPads, computers, lack of going outside to play with friends anymore in the backyard or anything, and school. Yeah, at school you're exposed to these guys dancing around with G-strings and what have you, and teachers that are, coming in, male teachers coming in with makeup in front of these kids, right? If you don't have the time and attention, the right time and attention to each one of these kids, and because you may not have it because of the number of kids that you've got, then 90% of that child's attention that comes from a family of 9 or 10 boys is going to be dictated by someone other than yourself.
Absolutely.
Right?
Outsourced.
By the shit that's available on the internet.
And there's nothing good out there.
The shit that they play on their games, which deprives them of having proper mental stimulation towards learning, and development. Exposed to stuff that they ought not to be exposed to, and you're too busy with your 9 other kids that you can't actually see what's happening to this one kid, and the same effect that follows on to the other kids.
Yep.
So I said it's not a good idea these days to have a lot of kids, and it was never good for the last 20 years. But prior to that, you hear about your grandmother, my grandmother, 14 kids,
8, 9,
16 kids.
Yeah, ridiculous.
But you know what? When you as a parent, even though your time towards that child wasn't available because of the number of kids, there wasn't these external influences which deprived your child of proper ethical upbringing, and the fact that you were allowed to go out and play in the backyard with the rest of your siblings, which is a form of parental upbringing as well, because they are being surrounded and exposed to their own flesh and blood, their own siblings. So it's not someone new that's coming in with a new ideology that's tarnishing their brain. You could have a lot of kids back then. Nowadays, 2, 3 max, because you need to not be selfish about your time, and you need to get dedicated to them, and you need to dedicate ample time to each one of these kids. So 2 to 3 kids maximum.
Yeah.
I was telling her this, and I'm thinking, a lot of kids these days, no good. This is where society is heading. We are becoming stupider as a society because our inability to, as parents, to give enough attention and the right amount of attention, the right quality of attention to our kids.
It's so ironic because we live in an age where information is so widely available, yet we're becoming more stupid.
You know why? And I can only talk from my own experience. When I was studying high school, or at the start of my university degrees, if I wanted to research a topic, I'd go to the library, go on the computer, type in my keywords, and I'd get a list of references and books. I'd go grab a book or a reference book, open up to the right page, read up about it, blah, blah, blah. Fuck, that's not the information that I want. Close it, grab the next book. But what have I done?
In the attempt to search for the information,
I've learned something new.
Exactly, yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So in the attempt of trying to find the right information that I want, I've inevitably learned something new that I don't need to know now, but it's stuck in my head. Mm. So you go on Google, you type in, you search in your search bar, you type in a word or a sentence or a topic you want to research, and you get nothing but the correct information towards that topic. So you've deprived yourself of tangential information and data that could be of use to you or no use to you other than, expand your general knowledge and understanding. This is why with the availability of information via this technical advancement is making us more stupid, because we're not learning stuff that expands our general knowledge and general comprehension.
And now they've even taken it a step further. Have you heard of ChatGPT? The artificial intelligence model language?
Oh, yes. Someone was telling me about it. You could literally type in, you want a song about this topic, and it spits out a song for you or something.
Yeah.
Is that it?
It's absolutely incredible. You can tell it to make a poem or create a song lyrics in Trump's mannerisms, in the way that he speaks, about Biden, dissing Biden, like a full Tupac diss song.
Wow, no way.
It is incredible what this thing can do. It's free to use.
What's it called?
ChatGPT. I can show you.
ChatGPT.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the one. Oh, I don't have any internet here. That's all right. Next time. But yeah, it's I'll send you a link afterwards, and if anyone's interested, just type in ChatGPT on Google. And this thing is so bloody powerful. The teachers in high schools now are extremely worried, because this thing in 5 minutes can complete a whole assignment on whatever it is.
I thought you were going to tell me that the teachers are using it. I'm thinking, we're fucked now. We're really fucked up now.
No, the kids are using it to complete their assignments.
How is Vanessa?
Vanessa is very well.
Yeah?
We're house hunting at the moment.
Nice. Buying or renting?
Buying.
Nice. Which area?
Around the Ryde area.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah. But prices are still fucking expensive.
Yeah, they are.
This bloody city.
Yeah.
But look, I think the way that the economy is going, and the interest rate rises, and the mortgage cliff that's coming up, I think the second half of this year is going to look a little bit more different than the first half of this year. And we might even see downward pressure on house prices in Sydney.
Nice. Yeah.
So we're looking to take advantage of that, but it's a patience game.
Yep.
And it's not as easy as some people might, or exciting as some people think it out to be. It's a fucking.
It took us 2 years
Took you 2 years
to find our house.
Damn.
Yep.
Did you build your house, or?
So we bought a property. The property we bought, we knocked that down in 2008, 2009, and 2010, and we built the house on it. But we lived in it for about 11 to 12 years. It was a heritage listed house on its original site, and the house was transported from one area to the other. So although the house was still on the heritage list manifest, but the fact that it's not on its original site meant that the private certifier said, yep, you can knock it down.
Okay.
And but it was a nice country style house. It's got these mosaic windows with the different colours and so on. Ula and I were looking at pictures of it and showing Max and Noah the house, and like you sort of miss it, because it's beautiful, but then you build something more modern and newer, and yeah.
Oh, your place is beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. I saw something the other day, and I read up about it after I saw it, and it's quite fascinating because, and I thought of you and Max, because I know that you've recently married the beautiful Vanessa, and I was a big influence, I would hope, about you taking that step forward. But I saw something the other day about Chinese and Eastern philosophy about, the hand. I don't know if you've seen it, but it just captivated me. And I read up about it, and it stems back to a Buddhist philosophy as well.
Okay.
And he said, the monk said, you look at your thumb, and your thumb is your parents. You look at your index finger, and your index finger are your siblings. You look at the middle finger, and the middle finger is yourself. And the reason why the middle finger represents yourself, because it's at the center of everything.
Yep.
And you look at your ring finger, and when you get engaged, you put your ring on your right hand, and when you get married, you put it on your left hand. So the ring finger represents your partner.
Your spouse.
Your spouse. And you look at your little finger, and your little finger represents your kids. And this monk said, now you put all tips of all your fingers together, right? And both palms, each finger, each two opposite fingers touching that tips. And then you let your middle finger, your two middle fingers, close down in, and they touch at the knuckle. Now you try and separate the thumb, or the thumbs. And you separate the thumbs, And what that tells you is as you grow and you develop your own life, your parents also maintain their own path and separate from you. And I'm not saying that they separate from you and you completely disassociate yourself with them. They have their life and you have yours.
Correct.
Similarly with your siblings, right? They have their own life and they live their own life and have their own path as well. Now you get to your kids as well, right? They'll end up growing up, they'll find their partner and they will live their life.
Mm.
Now try and separate the fingers that represent your spouse.
Can't do it.
You can't.
It's hard.
Right? And the only way you could do it is if your two middle fingers separate, then your spouse fingers can separate.
Okay, I see.
Right? So what that tells me is if you break up with your partner, you've broken up your life. You will cease to exist
Wow.
if you do not continue your life with your partner. And for those that have gone through divorce, they've made the wrong choice at the start because they haven't found their partner. So when you do find your partner, and I've told you this before, I think Vanessa is absolutely yours 100% because you two complete the yin and yang, right? The perfect circle of life is completed with you two. You will never be able to separate from yourself, let alone separate from your partner.
See, that baby stuck with me now.
For good.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And I look at Max and Amani as exactly the same as well.
Yeah.
These two are an absolute perfect match.
Yeah.
Absolute perfect match.
And me and Vanessa were together for almost 7 years before we decided to get married. And I wanted to be absolutely sure that I had made the correct decision before I had taken the plunge. And I think I did.
Yeah.
I know I did.
I was asked the other day by a guy that comes to my wife's gym, and he's still single, and he said, I can't find a partner. And I said, okay, what are you looking for? Oh, looking for someone that looks like this, feels like that, the big eyelashes, big smile, big lips and all that. And I said, fuck, stop. I said, he goes, what? I said, do you want to find the right partner? I said, you're looking in all the wrong directions. Look at yourself first. I said, find out what your flaws are, what your problems are. Where are you lacking? What are you lacking in? And then the person that is perfect for you is the one that has perfected what you are lacking in. And I said, as soon as you find that person that, if you're lacking in emotional judgments or whatever it is, right? Or in any aspect of life, if I don't have sentimental values and whatever, then I need to find someone that has full sentimental values, right? Because your perfect partner in life is the one that would perfect your imperfections. I said, start with yourself. What are you lacking in? What are you deprived in? What are you short of? And then find the person that has those complete attributes. And that's the perfect partner.
So
It's not about looks. It's not about lips. It's not about eyelashes. It's not about hair. It's not about booty size. It's not about chest size. It's about if she or he has those complete perfect attributes that I don't have, that's the perfect partner for me.
So instead of looking outwards, you got to look inwards first.
Inwards, absolutely. Yep. Because if you don't understand yourself, and if you don't really have a full comprehension, understanding and grasp of yourself, how else are you going to expect that person that you're looking for, the blue eyes, big lips, blonde hair, to expect to know you or love you? You're looking in the wrong direction. Look at yourself. What's inside of me? What's outside of me? And then I'm able to find the right person for myself.
Yeah. And it's not just for finding a partner. I think you can learn so much about yourself and the world around you just by looking inwards.
Absolutely.
Closing your eyes.
Yep.
Stop listening to the news or just stop with the stimulation entirely. One of my favorite things to do is to jump in a isolation tank, a sensory deprivation tank, because it's just you and your mind then. There's nothing distracting you. And then that way you can kind of defrag your brain in a way where you can see the things that you're missing in your life and then prioritize them. And then that way you have a clear direction of where you should be going in your life.
Absolutely. And one of the benefits of these tanks and that process is when you immerse yourself in that heavily concentrated Epsom salt water, your senses, because you don't feel your body anymore, all your senses at your nerve ends all travel up towards your brain. So you actually do become smarter while you're in there, and everything becomes a whole lot clearer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you think about problems that you've had, and the solutions just pop up in front of you.
There's no distractions.
Because there are no distractions, and your entire body function is all up in your head, because in your brain, because that's the only bit that sticks out of the water.
Yeah.
Everything else, it feels like it's just a senseless appendage that you don't feel is there.
Yeah.
Right? So it becomes a whole lot clearer for you. I did it once, and I have to admit, at the start, I was scared, because I had these things that, were coming at me, and I'm like, fuck. So I got up and stood up, and I'm like, fuck, I can't do this. But then I remembered Idris used to speak highly of it, and I went, I need to do it. And I stayed in there for an hour.
Nice.
And it was fucking the best thing I've done.
Absolutely. I don't think anywhere else in nature can recreate that kind of environment. It's a man-made environment, because the water's heated up so you don't feel your body.
It's to the same temperature as your body temperature, so you don't feel the water even.
Yeah, you feel like you're floating on a cloud.
Yep.
You can't see anything, it's pitch black.
Yep.
You can't hear anything, there's
Yep.
no sounds, it's a soundproof room.
Yep.
So it's
And you're floating.
Yeah.
Your
So-
body doesn't touch anything.
So think of it as your brain, your consciousness is just drifting in space.
Yes. Yep.
It's incredible. It unlocks a different level in your mind.
Absolutely it does. Yep.
It's great for looking inwards. I highly suggest anyone that has any issues, anything that they're going through in life, try
You
the
want to
tank.
find a solution to your problems? Go through one of
Go to the
these
tank.
experiences.
You're not going to find what you're looking for out there.
No,
It's in here.
In here, absolutely,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, and it's one of the things that the great Alan Watts used to teach
that
as
guy.
well. Yeah, what is outside of you is not external to what is inside of you, because the senses you get on your skin, at the nerve ends on your skin, is the actual external environment. Like, the temperature in this room is what, 22, 23 degrees? The only reason why you know this external temperature is that is because of your sensation of your skin. So what is external of you in your environment is also part of what is inside of you. So don't look at yourself as a separate element to the environment. You are, and your insides are explicitly two between yourself and the environment, but you are implicitly one because you are combined.
Yeah.
So look into yourself, and that clarifies a whole lot of things outside of yourself.
Absolutely. That's awesome. We've been going for just over an hour. Just before we wrap it up, I wanted to speak, I hate going back to this topic, but we need to talk about it because it's here, it's an issue. We need to talk more about this. We need more discourse. I think it's next Saturday. There's an actual protest being held by members of the Christian and I believe the Muslim community as well.
Yes, they are, but I'm disappointed with my Muslim community that they're not taking a much stronger stance to this. Before you continue, and I apologize for disrupting you. There's a verse in the Quran that says, "Asa an takrahu shay'an wa huwa khayrun lakum." Fear not hating something, for something good will come out of it for you. We need to capitalize on this verse as the Muslim community. We need to capitalize on this verse. And the way we capitalize on it is we stand shoulder to shoulder with our Christian brothers and sisters in opposition to the disrespect made against Prophet Jesus. And this is an opportunity where the two faiths can combine unity and become a one strong hand that would oppose anything that is going to, disrespect any of the prophets or any element of the faith. The faiths have been quite tolerant towards you and your choice of life. You should not be disrespecting the main figures of these faiths. Simple fact. We need to jump on this. We need to capitalize on this, and we need to stand shoulder to shoulder, foot to foot, arms in each other, locked in, and go down and protest peacefully.
Absolutely,
but show strong unity that between Christians, and I've said this to you before, Amo. Sorry, I call him Amo, which means uncle, but I call everyone Amo because everyone calls me Amo. I've said this to you before. Fucking 50 years of age, mate. Yeah.
Muslims and Christians combining together.
Muslims and Christians combining together
Non-peaceful protest.
in a very peaceful protest to show unity against the people that are disrespecting the faith. And this is it. A lot of people have the wrong perception that there are great differences between Christians, Muslims, and Jews.
I never believed that.
Right?
I never believed that.
And the only reason why people think that there are major differences is because they concentrate on the differences but not pay any attention to the similarities. And I've said this to you before in many of the in our earlier podcasts. If we learn the similarities of the three major faiths, between the three major faiths, the indifferences become so fucking significant. It does not matter anymore, you know. And this is the life that we should live. We shouldn't be waiting for a calamity that befalls us, like what has happened on the project show, to make us unite. Yes, let's capitalize on it. Let's unite, and let's fucking stay united, for fuck's sake.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, the primary figure in the Christian faith is also a primary figure in the Islamic faith. How much more similar do you want to be? You know, we believe in the Virgin Mary, mother of Jesus, in the same way as Christians do. There is a full chapter in the Quran about Mother Mary. A full chapter,
Yeah.
right? We believe that Jesus will come back to earth and spread peace. We don't believe he was crucified. That's probably one of the only few differences between us. That we believe God raised him to heaven and he will bring him back to spread peace. He won't bring back Muhammad. He will bring back Jesus. And so for you, Waleed, to laugh at a joke, a sick joke, about a prophet, a revered prophet in Islam, that is of equal stature to Muhammad, you know, shame on you. You're not living to your faith at all. And we, as Muslims, need to stand stronger with you guys, Christians, against this.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And one of the things that concerns me is that there is an escalation, and that incident, that joke, that pathetic attempt of a joke that was made on the project really triggered a lot of people in the religious community, both Muslim and Christian. And this protest, I believe that there is a counter protest going on the same day from probably members of the LGBT community. It's heading down a road where it's not looking good. The escalation of this can lead and will lead to violence if we do not try to keep it as peaceful as possible. And it's not just people on the Muslim or Christian or the religious side of things, it's on the other side as well.
Yep.
We need to keep this as peaceful as possible, because this can escalate to things, and you know, the police will be there and they'll be instigating things, and how they've always done in the last few years. We've seen lots of examples of that as well. So just stay safe, keep it peaceful. If you're gonna go, don't flip any cars, don't do any stupid shit, don't go punching people. Like,
all police dogs are horses, because they're just equally, you know, police officers. And if you hit a horse or a dog, police dog or police horse, you're assaulting a police officer.
Yeah.
And you could end up in jail for years.
And don't give the media any reason to portray you as an evil person to the world. Because it's very easy, and we saw lots of examples of that during the lockdown protests, where the horse puncher guy, who didn't even punch the bloody horse, it was just a shove.
My cousin got jailed for 6 years because he hit a police dog.
A police dog?
Police dog.
Holy shit.
Yep, 6 years. Don't do it.
It's not worth it.
Go down, convey your point, and the best way to convey your point is in a peaceful manner. Show your solidarity towards one another, your camaraderie. Remain peaceful. Act exactly as Jesus would expect you to, or as Muhammad would expect you to. Peaceful. You know, I remember the story of Prophet Muhammad where he went to a village called Al-Ta'if, and as he's walking through the village, they stoned him, and his blood was seeping from his head all over his body down to his toes. And the archangel came up to him and he said, I have been ordered to fulfill any decision or order you make, and if you want me to fold both mountains on them, al-ashghabain as it's called in Arabic, if you want me to fold both mountains on them, I will. And he goes, no, you know, I will pray for that some pious person will come out of that village. This is Muhammad, right? Jesus would have acted peacefully and has acted peacefully. Muhammad acted peacefully in the Taif. And if you really love Jesus and you really love Muhammad, it doesn't matter whether you're Christian or a Muslim, act in the same manner that they would, which is a peaceful way of acting. If you try and change that or act in a different way, you're giving them ammunition against you and allowing them to keep tarnishing us as pious people, be us Christians or Muslims. Don't do that. Don't fall into their trap. Remain strong, remain steadfast, remain solid with each other, and peaceful, and believe me, we will be victorious, because we're not asking for anything untoward. We're not asking them to change their lifestyle. Just don't implicate our kids. That's all, and don't disrespect our prophets. Simple.
As Jesus would say, Lord, forgive them, for they do not know what they do.
Yep.
Khaled, thank you.
Thank you.
I hope this message goes out to everyone listening. And again, guys, keep it peaceful. If we don't make a stand here, then you heard Khaled, this could end up in a really, really bad situation as for us in the society down the line. And,
I know my grandkids, if it gets beyond control and if it heads down the scary path that I can see it going down to, I know my grandkids will hold me responsible for it, and I will never be able to breathe another, atom of oxygen. If my grandkids don't look at me and say, "You tried," and if I'm not trying, I might as well die. So
I love you, brother.
love you too.
Stay classy, guys. See ya.